Hey guys, so welcome to another installment in my makeup inventory series. Today we're going to be doing eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to be going from smallest to largest. I have quite a few, so we're just going to get started because I don't want this video to be a million hours long. So, first off, I have my Natasha Denona Joya palette. This was one of her limited edition palettes for last holiday, and I absolutely adore this palette. This was my 1 month one palette for December, and it's such a good palette. I really do want to try out some of her other 5-pan palettes, but none of the color theories really appeal to me, so this is the only one that I own for now, but it is gorgeous. The next two palettes are just Z palettes, but I have this small Z palette here full of, well, not full, but it's got some ColourPop shadows in it. There's 5 shadows in here. I'm not going to go and name all of these, but this is where I keep my ColourPop ones. This palette right here is where I keep some of my Makeup Geek shadows. I have 2 other shadows from Makeup Geek that are in my main custom palette, but these are the mattes, and there's one shimmer in here, and this is what I own. It's pretty dirty because I had a reddish toned shadow break in here, and I have to wipe that down. Didn't bother to do that before this video though. I have 2 of the 10-pan Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes. This one is in Rosé in the Air, and this one is in Not a Basic Peach. Next, I have my ColourPop and Kathleen Light's Dream Street palette that I spoke about in my current favorites video. I've been really enjoying this. It's such a cute, beautiful palette. Next, I have my BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette, and the inside of it looks like this. I have been really enjoying this palette, especially now for the summertime, to create some of my more colorful looks. I actually used this palette yesterday to film a couple of videos, which are probably already up by the time this one is going up. This one is my custom palette, which was my 1 month one palette for last month, the month of May, and this is what that looks like right here. It's got, I think, 23 shadows in it, and this is just a mix of Anastasia, Makeup Geek, ColourPop. There's a big Juvia's Place shadow in there, so yeah, this is just my custom palette. Next, I've got the JCat Beauty Sunset Boulevard palette, and I adore this palette so much. I think this is like one of the best affordable palettes I own, but the packaging, it sucks. But as you can see, the tones in this palette are absolutely stunning, and the quality is amazing, but they are very sensitive. You have to be very careful because I nicked this shadow right here by accidentally dropping it on my bed. These shadows are very sensitive. They are on the more powdery side if you don't like that, but I love these shadows. I think the tones are very smoky and beautiful, and I love this palette so much, but I don't get enough use out of it. By the time this video is going up, I think the controversy will have blown over, so hopefully. But this palette is the Kat Von D Saint and Sinner palette. I don't use this palette enough, to be honest. I've thought about decluttering it, but this was a birthday gift from my mother, and things that my mom get me, I'm not gonna declutter it. But I like the quality of Kat Von D's eyeshadows. I think this palette is good quality. My issue with this palette is the fact that this is mainly a companion palette, and I don't like that in a palette that is so huge. Like this Natasha Denona palette, I use it as a companion palette, but I don't mind because this is a 5-pan palette. You can't really do much with 5 pans of all shimmery shadows. So I would expect to use that as a companion palette. But when you've got 24 eyeshadows in a palette, I would expect to be able to create a wide variety of looks, and there's just not enough mattes in this palette to do that. That's the one major downside. Next is the BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil palette. I really need to get more use out of this palette. When I want to go for color, I usually go for the Weekend Festival palette, but I need to get more use out of this palette. This was my 1 month one palette for, I think, the month of March, and to be honest, I did not get to use it a whole ton. So I need to, make sure this is on my radar. And next we have my Morphe 3502 palette, which is my 1 month one palette for this month of June, and I have been really enjoying this palette, but there are some really redundant shades. But it's a really gorgeous warm palette, and I love it for the summer. It is a very fall appropriate palette as well, but I love these like orangey and like pink tones for the summertime. And last but certainly not least, because this is my favorite eyeshadow palette, this is the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. Now, some people are a little mad at Jaclyn Hill. By the time that this video goes up, the product will already be out. But Jaclyn Hill was kind of hyping up some eyeshadows, and people thought, including myself, I thought it was going to be her own brand that she's been promising for like 4 years now. But it turned out to be another Morphe collab, which, I mean, I'm not mad about. I mean, I might actually buy them because it looks like she's coming out with some mini palettes. By the time this video goes up, the collab will probably already be live and everything, so I could be wrong. But from the teaser that has been released, it looks like she's coming out with some mini palettes with like some colorful like color stories. Like I saw one palette in the teaser that was green, and I think there's another one that's purple, and I'm very excited about that. I might just bite the bullet and buy those. But this is my Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and this is my favorite palette of all time. You can create so many different looks with this. This is 35 shadows, and this is what I wanted the Kat Von D Satan Center palette to be, but a more colorful version, because I can create such a wide variety of looks with this palette, and I will always have this palette in my collection. I don't think I will ever declutter it. So I currently own 13 eyeshadow palettes, 3 of them being custom-made palettes and 10 of them being pre-made, which I don't think that's really that bad. But I definitely do not need any more eyeshadow at the moment, especially considering that most of my palettes are like at least 20 pans or more. So yeah, that was my palette collection. I think the next video that is going to go up in this series is probably, I'm checking right now, it's probably going to be like my more miscellaneous eye stuff, like my glitters, my mascara, eyeliner, stuff like that. So yeah, that'll probably be coming in a couple of weeks, maybe like a week or two, so stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already to make sure you can stick around for the next one, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.